this swing arm model which I picked up last year. This is the one with the Phil Pearson electric start I've had fitted to it. So that's the next project. I'll be working on that over the next few weeks. One of the problems I found on this bike was that the petrol tank was badly corroded, but it had been lined but badly, and the lining had sort of broken down and was in pieces inside the tank. So I've got the tank here, and I'm going to make a bracket which will be bolted to where the taps go and where this little bar that goes across here. I'm going to make a bracket which is going to be fitted to this mixer, which when it turns quite slowly, and I'm going to fill it with evaporust and put some nuts and bolts in to see if I can break down the rust and the remains of the old lining, fiberglass lining that's in there. And this idea I got from John Edwards. When I took the bike down to Phil Pearson's, John Edwards showed me his, and it's exactly the same as how he does his tanks. He puts them on an old mixer and lets them run for, well, he said a couple of days here and there, and the tanks come out spotless. So I'm going to try that and see how it goes. Well, if I can, I'll show you how bad it is inside with this little camera I've got. And it's not very good, but if you look closely, it's in an absolute mess. The lining is broken down and it's full of rust. So there's actually a big chunk of the fiberglass in there which I'm having trouble getting out. But anyway, I'm going to put it onto the mixer with some evaporust and some old nuts and bolts and see if I can clean it up. Not a very good picture there, the camera's not that good, but you can see it's pretty bad. Well, I'm ready to make this bracket now, and what I've done is I've taken this blanking plug out and I've checked it, and it's showing 19 teeth per inch. So what I've done is I've made a nut which fits on there quite nicely, and I did that at 19 teeth per inch. I use this as a test nut to make this little stud here, which will fit into there. Okay, and the thread, this is a perfect fit tap, and it's 3/8 BSP. So I've already made that one, but I'm now going to turn this part down and just do it as a 3/8 26 TPI stud to mount the bracket to, and I'll show you how to do that now. Well, I've finished making this bracket now, which will hold the tank to the mixer. Giving it a coat of paint. It's as rough as that, but it's fairly strong, and I don't think I'll have any problems with that. Well, it's turning quite nicely on the mixer now. The clunking noise you can hear is a big cob of fiberglass resin that's still inside the tank that's come loose. It's too big to come out through the fuel filler hole. So I'm going to put the chippings and nuts and bolts in now with some evaporust and check it every half an hour, see how it's going, and hopefully the whole thing will come clean. Well, I've got some of this Canterbury spar, which is a very sharp, hard chipping, purple dash, and this is some 20mm granite chippings. They're hard as well, and I've got quite a stack of it into the tank now. I'm just going to top it up with some evaporust and let the whole thing rotate for quite a while, and hopefully it'll break down the rust and break down the old resin liner that's in there. So see how it goes. Well, there's the tank ready to go now. It's got some small chippings in, some large ones, and I've just chucked in a few nuts and bolts as well. So ready to start it up and just leave it to spin for a while, see what happens. Well, the tank's been spinning on the mixer now for a couple of days. I think it's done about 6 or 7 hours in total, and it's come up quite clean inside. I've had a look at the camera, and I've emptied all the chippings out and then I've finally put in some of these. I'll show you these. These are some old nuts and bolts. Well, they're just nuts actually, and I finished off with those, and they've come out covered in rust, so I'm hoping they've cleaned up a little bit better. Also, what came out with these big chunks of resin, there was a few more than this, and that's from the last time the tank was sealed. It couldn't have been sealed properly because it's just not stuck to the tank. So the plan now is to check it for leaks. I'll fill it with diesel and check for leaks, and then make my mind up whether it needs another sealing kit or not. Well, if I shine my torch in, you can actually see, camera's not very good, but it's quite clean. Well, it's spotlessly clean actually, all the parts I can see. So I'm hoping that when I fill it with diesel there are no leaks, because I don't really want to put a sealing kit in if I can help it. We'll see how it goes. Well, it's now time to check this tank for leaks, so I'm going to fill it full of diesel and leave it for an hour or so, and just check underneath, see if anything's leaking. I'll do that now. Well, as you can see, the tank's full of diesel now, almost right to the brim. There's just under 20 litres in there now. I'm going to leave it for an hour or so and check again for leaks later. Well, it's over 8 hours now and the tank's been full of diesel and there's no sign of any leaks, none at all. So the plan now is to empty the diesel out, and I'm going to rinse the tank out with some detergent. I'll probably put it back onto the mixer and then I'll rinse the whole thing out with clean water. And I haven't made my mind up yet, but I think I'll probably put the epoxy resin liner in just to be on the safe side. Well, the inside of the tank's finished now. I did end up putting in the epoxy resin liner, which unfortunately I didn't show, I didn't film, but there's the remains of it in the jug there, hard as a rock. So that's the inside sorted, and I'm now probably going to strip the tank and make my mind up what I'm going to do with the colour over the next few days.